Welcome everybody to the Wonder Boldly podcast. I'm Christine Santos, bringing to you all of the action steps and knowledge I've learned on my journey to becoming an online business owner, quit my corporate job, and now live the life that I desire on my own terms. This podcast is jam-packed with all the knowledge I've gained over the past few years growing my online business. I am so passionate about you going after what it is that you want. I want to encourage and motivate you to know that you too can live the life that you desire. Thank you so much for listening. Let's go. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wonder Boldly. Today's episode is about a question I get asked all the time, and that is, how do you come up with content ideas for your podcast? So I want to hit upon 3 items that I think are great content generators. First, AI. You can use a free version of an AI tool and simply ask, what are 10 things I can talk about in regards to a workout routine? And it will give you 10 ideas. Now, you'll want to tweak those based on your specific niche and the category for which your podcast falls under. So that is a very quick and easy way to get your creative juices flowing and give you some ideas. Now, another way that you can do this, and definitely stay to the end because I'm going to have an additional point on this, but first I want to hit this. Another thing that you can do is you can reach out to your network, whether that means on social media, your contacts, those people that you are speaking to with your podcast episode, and some additional people that maybe aren't active listeners, that maybe you think aren't particularly interested in your topic. Still reach out to them. And remember, I said stay to the end because I want to make a point about that. But reach out to them and ask them to share with you just one question they have about your topic. Give them 3 options so they have an idea of what you're looking for. This is via a text, a DM, whatever. It doesn't need to be a phone call. I'm not talking about a market survey. You don't have to put together a poll. This is super quick and easy. For the most part, probably 90% are going to message you back. If you have a podcast that is a weekly podcast, it will give you almost half a year's worth of content. I did this just yesterday, and I reached out to a handful of people, and some people messaged back with 1 question, some people messaged back with 2 or 3, and each one was so good. And I'm going to do an episode on each one of them being this episode. How do you get ideas for topics to talk about on your podcast? Now, the other thing about this is you will see trends. So there will be the same question, if not the exact same question, the same theme. And that tells you something because you're looking at a small pool of people when you're just reaching out to your network. So all the many people that listen to podcasts, that a percentage of those are interested in your topic, that trend is probably prevalent in that population as well. So that's definitely something you want to pay attention to and make sure you're answering that question in your podcast episodes. Another way you can come up with ideas for your podcast is to look at your social media. So if you've been posting about your niche for a long time, all those posts are podcast episodes. Maybe you have an episode per post. Maybe you group like items together and create a podcast episode that's maybe 30 minutes long based off of a week's worth of your posts. All of that content that you've already created, whether it's social media, whether it's blogs, whether you're on Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is, you've already spent so much time and effort sharing your knowledge. Tap into that to create your podcast episodes. So again, repurposing for your audience. Hearing something more than once is very important. Remember that if you're on social media, your message isn't always reaching your community. They're not always seeing what you're educating them on. So definitely repeat. That is super helpful to the people that are listening, because one day you hear something and then you hear the same thing a week later, 2 weeks later, and then for whatever reason on that day it really lands, right? You know that. You've been there. So remember that for the people that you're serving. You need to say your message more than once in different ways, in the same way. So if you have concern about repeating what you have on social media on your podcast, really, you can put that to rest. You actually should be doing that. So if you set aside, say, 1 hour to do those 3, you will come up with more than enough content for a whole year of weekly podcasts. Think about that. Asking an AI tool, reaching out to your community, reviewing your previously created content. Those 3 areas will give you a year's worth of weekly episodes, for sure. Take about an hour, do that, and see what happens. I bet you will find so many great ideas. Now, I want to go back and speak to the point about when I said reaching out to your community, even your contacts in your phone, and maybe you're thinking, those aren't the people that I'm speaking to, all the hesitation, all the excuses, all the maybe feeling awkward about it. You'll find that it will remind you how far you've come in your niche. So maybe those people aren't listening to your podcast. Maybe those people aren't the people that you're thinking are interested in your topic. And that's okay, because they're actually going to give you valuable information. They're going to ask you those questions that you've never even thought of, because you're coming from it from a different perspective. And the other thing is they're going to ask you really beginner questions. And I say that with love. I don't mean that in a bad way. What I'm saying is they're going to ask you those questions that you've forgotten that your community has. You've forgotten that because you've come so far and you're an expert in your niche. And as we move further in our areas, as we increase our knowledge, we can forget what it's like to be a beginner. So we can be missing serving those people. So that's why it's so important to reach out to a wide variety of people. I did this just yesterday, as I mentioned, and I came across those scenarios. I came across really great questions and trends. I came across questions from beginners that I had totally forgotten about. That was so eye-opening for me. Lastly, the last thing I want to say is do your research. I'm an avid follower of Robin Sharma, and his message historically for years has been be hyper-focused, really master your craft. And the way we do that is by staying up with the latest research in our area, by staying up with different opinions in our area. And by doing that, you are continuing to grow your knowledge, which is fantastic. And you're able to share and keep your community up to date with the latest and greatest. With that being said, I'm going to go back to something I talked about a couple episodes ago, and that is that AI tool that I absolutely love, Descript. Yes, like I said, it's been out there for a while, but I've really embraced it recently, and it is phenomenal. And I'm changing how I'm teaching my clients in my Unleash Your Voice program. So I'm giving them the option of training them on Audacity, which I absolutely love as well, and training them on Descript and letting them choose which one feels right to them. I've taken the programs from the gurus, the people that have #1 podcasts and thousands of downloads. And even they, as of this year, aren't talking about the latest tools. And that's okay. That's okay. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying being a master in your area requires really in-depth knowledge and staying up with the latest and greatest information. Mastering your niche requires you to continuously be in a learning mode, staying up to date with the latest information, and sharing that and serving others. That's it for today's episode. Send me a DM over on Instagram at Christine B. Santos. Let me know what you thought. And until next time, continue to wonder boldly.